All right, guys, Carlton here, the Crypto Pro. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. We are currently at 7,794. This is May the 16th, 2019 at 9:24 p.m. And the question is, where are we going from here? So let's grab a quick look and start out with the 1 year, this crazy, ugly chart. So let's draw on this chart and I'll share with you my thoughts on what I think is going on. This is the ugliest chart I have ever seen in my life. So we started out with this descending triangle as action on price was going down with a base, and usually we have a breakout to the downside, but this was a massive dump. Not just a break to the lower side, but a complete flushing of price. I've never seen anything like this before. I don't think anybody could have predicted this big of a dump. And then the side banding that came afterwards, and no reason whatsoever for this massive pump, number one, on huge volume, and then the two tremendous pumps that came after that. So here we sit up at the top, and we're wondering, is Bitcoin going to find another base and continue upwards, maybe to 9,000, take a breather, and then run again up towards 11,000? Or are we at the point where the massive correction occurs and a big dump? So let's just zoom in and look a little bit further, take it down to the 3-month, and we can see the volume here, the first pump that came out of nowhere, which some people claim that this was a short squeeze or massive whales loading up on Bitcoin. And then we move forward, and contrary to the negative news that came out about Bitfinex and Tether, we saw this huge volume and then the spike up here to above 8,300. And so now we're wondering, are we taking a break here before we continue upward or going down? I think it's a 50-50 chance it might pump again, because I did not predict this happening or this massive pump. And after both of these pumps, I thought the correction was going to happen, and it did not. But in all likelihood, what goes up must come down. And with this out of the ordinary pump, I think the correction is going to come. I don't think the bear market is over, because we're riding so high above the 200-day exponential moving average. So let's zoom in a little bit further. And what we see on the 1 month, we've got the two peaks, and the second peak is a little bit less than the first, which is an indication of reversal. Is it going to reverse? Moving further in at the 7-day, seeing a little bit more detail, we have this side banding going on, and this is the point of decision. And what concerns me is this low volume. So without another tremendous pump, which could happen, we're going to correct. And it's 50-50. I think that in all likelihood, we're going to start to sail downward. Looking on the 24-hour, just today, the general tendency looks like downtrend. So whenever you look out on your 7-day and we see the start of a little bit stronger of a downtrend than what we had before that occurred pretty quickly, it looks like we've got a few more days of this downward action. And the 24-hour looks like it is keeping up with that downward trend as the volume goes down. Looking into the 1 hour today, jumping up and down, and we have 1, 2, 3 declining peaks. So if we hold this base and don't go below this 7,700 point, maybe it will reverse and go up. But if we continue to slide down, I think this is the start of capitulation, where we might find the new low point and go back down here to this consolidation that was happening. So this is now going to be a support. Will we go back down to 3,200? It's possible. It's possible that we could stop at this point around the 5,000 area, or we could come down here to the 4,000 area. But Bitcoin has a tendency to make a fool out of everybody when we think we know what's going on. When we see the majority of people calling for a bull market, where 90% or more are saying this is the time that we have an exponential parabolic rise to 150,000, that's when I start to think like the contrarians, because Bitcoin has a tendency to not be predictable. So if we correct, let's draw on this chart a little bit, and I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. If we slide below this 7,700 level, I think we're going to start to see a little bit of downward movement with a possible huge dive. So we're going to hope that there's a base here, but it could go below that. 2,800 is possible. It's highly unlikely, but it is possible. So if you're buying into Bitcoin right now, you better be careful. Do not buy Bitcoin with money that you cannot afford to lose. Now, if you're buying for the long term and you're going to sit on this for 3 to 5 years, buy away. You might want to wait a little bit while and see what's going to happen. I'm not going to buy anything into Bitcoin right now until I see what happens with this correction. So I could be wrong and I could be kicking myself in the head if we go parabolic, but I'm going to play it safe. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So looking at the top 20, let's take a look at the charts, the 7-day, and we see a lot of green going on. We see the general 7-day is looking like we're still in that uptrend and we're at this point of decision. And all of the altcoins are reflecting Bitcoin. So this is odd. If we see everything in lockstep with Bitcoin, how is it possible that Bitcoin can go parabolic while the altcoins are all following suit? XRP, Ripple is sitting at 40 cents. Ripple was looking nice, and I believe that this spike that took us up to 47 cents. It says 45 here. If we zoom in, we can see the top was at 47.43 cents. I think that XRP is going to match Bitcoin if the correction happens, along with everything else. So let's just take it on down the line. Stellar Lumens had a nice run, and it is starting to decline. Binance Coin looks pretty solid. That is not as scary as the Bitcoin chart. Cardano, it looks like we're in a miniature downtrend here. Tron is coming down. Tron is really confusing. I don't know if I believe all the hype and the stories that are going on, so I'm cautious. I've got a nice little bag of 30,000 Tron coins, but Justin Sun has a tendency to put out stories that aren't true. So we just had some news recently that seemed pretty positive that Tron was doing something with Firefox. I'm not sure what the details are, but I'll believe it when I see it. Right now, this looks like it is going to correct and come back down to that previous base. So moving on right down the line, value chain is looking kind of okay. Zcash is in a miniature downtrend. Dogecoin, it had a nice little run up to 0.003, and it looks like it is headed down. Augur, 0x, Holocoin. Holocoin is looking a little bit stronger than everyone else. On the 7-day, it is not obeying the downtrend that we have seen with all the other altcoins. I have a nice little bag of Holocoin that seems to be a project that has some possibilities. Bitcoin is getting bit in the butt, looking red. BitShares doesn't look too bad. BitTorrent is at a microscopic 0.00087. We'll see what happens with it after this nice little spike. That was pretty impressive. I have a small bag of that coin. Digibyte, one of my favorites, is actually looking pretty good with this big spike in volume. It may stay at this baseline and continue upward. We'll see what happens. IOST, one of my favorites. I was sad to see this decline here after that major spike. So we have a declining top. Looks to me like we're going to head on down and continue to correct. All of these altcoins are probably going to slide down a little bit, and then depending on what happens with the Bitcoin dump, people are calling for altcoin season to happen sometime this summer, maybe close to July. So we're going to keep our eyes on the altcoins and then watch Big Brother Bitcoin to see what happens if we hold this 7,800 level or if we start that massive correction. So that is what we have today, and that's my prediction, not financial advice, because I have been made a fool of several times with Bitcoin. I got a little cocky because I predicted the all-time low previously. When we were way back in January and February of this year, I said, hey folks, we're going to be taking a dive, and I called for 3,200, and a lot of people said that I was crazy, but it happened. So will it correct back down to the 3,200 area? I don't know. But as cocky as I was in predicting that recent all-time low, I'm not going to be cocky and say that I know what's going to happen next because of this pump that occurred that went contrary to all common sense. Negative news came out right here, and what did we see? Bitcoin did the opposite. Usually when negative news comes out, it coincides with a dive, but this goes to show you that you can't ever guarantee action in the crypto market based on news. That is my solid opinion. So there we have it. That is the market report for May the 16th, 2019. We'll check in tomorrow and see what the action looks like. We are out. Visit www.carltonzone.com/crypto for all of my opinion, not financial advice on what is going on with the market. We'll see you soon.